Anti-Semitism is, I think, often a cry of help. When one of my children who suffered from tantrums screamed once, about 3 years old, and said, "Daddy, I hate you." And my wife very wisely said to me, what he means is, "Daddy, I need something from you and I'm not getting it and I'm hurt and angry and that's why I'm lashing out at you." And I think sometimes the world is crying out to us saying, "Jewish people, really? You 2,000 years and you came back to your land just to build another liberal democracy where you sometimes get medals in an Olympics or in sports? That's what you're about, and you're having to fight wars to survive all the time that involve people getting killed? This is who you're meant to be?" First of all, it's not true the whole world hates us. The whole world is obsessed with us, much as we wish it wasn't. But there's a lot of people who love us as well. That's one thing. Second thing is, anti-Semitism is, I think, often, apart from having a certain very deep evil to it and hatred of good and God and all this stuff, there is also sometimes an aspect of it that is a cry of help. And it comes somewhere in the subconscious of you, Israel, and the other people God gave a Torah to. You're meant to be this light unto the nations. Like, that means that if the world is dark, you're failing. So that means that everything wrong in the world is your fault. This is all in the subconscious. So the conscious says, "Oh, it must be conspiracies. You guys are controlling evil." But I think very often it's the cry of help where, like, I think I've given you this analogy before. It happened to me when one of my children who suffered from tantrums screamed once, about 3 years old, and said, "Daddy, I hate you." And my wife very wisely said to me, what he means is, "Daddy, I need something from you and I'm not getting it and I'm hurt and angry and that's why I'm lashing out at you." And I think sometimes the world is crying out to us saying, "Jewish people, really? You 2,000 years and you came back to your land just to build another liberal democracy where you sometimes get medals in an Olympics or in sports? That's what you're about, and you're having to fight wars to survive all the time that involve people getting killed? This is who you're meant to be?" And we feel it in our internal disunity. And I really believe that State of Israel should get together with all its different factions and say, "You know what? We've spent 80 years surviving. Now we've got to remember what we're here for," and create a national mission statement that even now, while it's not all religious and it's not all this and it's all mixed up, we can say that we remember what God first told to Abraham. "Through you will be blessed all families of earth." God promised Isaac that through you, through your seed, your children will be blessed, every nation on earth. Same to Jacob. "Through you will be blessed all families of earth, and through your seed." Right? These are all there in Genesis 12, 24, 28. These are the prophecies. These are the mission statements. Right? That Ezekiel sees in the end in his vision, amazingly, that all of Israel becomes like the priest, because he said the priests won't eat the non-kosher, so all of mankind becomes like Israel. Right? This is the world, but we have to make this our mission to become this for the world. Right? And I'm going to tell you something else. Again, I don't know what I've said to you in previous interviews or not, but I was having a conversation with a Palestinian activist about a year ago. And at the beginning of the conversation, he was telling me how we in the Muslim world, we really look at you Jews as very, very untrustworthy. The Quran says how you guys rebelled against your prophets, and as does our Tanakh. Let's be, there's no book more critical of Israel than the Hebrew Bible. You were untrustworthy. God took you out of Egypt. You served a golden calf, all this kind of stuff. And also in the Quran, the stories how Muhammad was betrayed by Jewish tribes. So he says, whenever we make a peace deal with you, we half expect you to break it. And I said to him, "Well, we have a similar view of you, you niggas. I know, but you should understand this." This was there. Then we had about an hour's conversation. And after about an hour, he says to me, "Now, let me tell you how we Muslims look at you Jewish people." Right? I'm not saying all Muslims look at it this way, but there's an amazing turn in the conversation. He says to me, "We look at you that God chose you people to be teachers for the world. Doesn't mean you're going to get a bigger portion of the world to come, but you are not chosen just to have ethnic supremacy and come and take land, right? We're not chosen just to be another liberal democracy in the Middle East, fighting wars against us, whether we start them or you start them. You're not chosen just to have more gay pride parades in Tel Aviv. You're meant to be teaching the world. Is that what you're doing? So if you came back here to build a spiritual center and to ask us, can you have the Temple Mount to build a home of God, home of Allah, and not instead of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, but next to it, right? And you want it to be what the Bani Israel are in the Quran," he says, "of course we'd want to come and learn from you. You're the teachers of mankind. What happens when you rebel against God? What happens when you do, right? So why aren't you being that?" This is amazing. And it's like, we should be asking ourselves that question. We shouldn't need a Palestinian activist in the West Bank to tell us that. We're not back here just to be another ethnic group on planet Earth. And the world keeps reminding us, you're never going to have peace if that's who you want to be. right? We should be people that people don't want to be in a fight against, that people aren't questioning in America. You know, this great question anti-Semites ask in America, why are we funding Israel? It's a brilliant question. Okay, the answer really is because they fund every single democracy on planet Earth, right? They put more money into protecting South Korea and far more money into protecting Japan and far, far, far more money into protecting Europe. They protect every liberal democracy. But we should be asking that question. Why are we asking to exist? Just as another place on planet Earth for another ethnicity to have another political independence? Maybe. Is that all? Is that what we spent 2,000 years praying to return to our land for? So we should ask ourselves to be more. It doesn't matter if the world's being unfair to us and we can call out their unfairness. But let's hear those questions, internalize them. What is Israel meant to be? What is the Jewish people coming home meant to be? It's meant to be such that every single family on earth is blessed as a result, is closer to God as a result. And if we can get our act together there and become a technological superpower, but an ethical superpower at the same time, so that everyone is blessed whenever we're blessed. That's what we've got to be doing.
I think that's really the most important message that we need to be hearing today as a Jewish people. And I think that's just said so succinctly and poignantly. I do find it quite ironic or amusing that we, get so caught up on the whole right to exist thing. And I think you're right. The reason why the world is so focused on, it's only the Jews who they say, question its right to exist, is because they know that we shouldn't just be existing like another nation. And so, no, we're not. If we're just here just to exist, that's not good enough. That's not acceptable. And we have it really shouldn't be about our rights to exist. It should be about our mission, our light, our purpose.
Yeah. It's like a company saying all the time, we have a right still to exist. Imagine it's got enemies trying to close it down. Good. You've got a right to exist. Everyone's got a right to everything. But what's the purpose behind your existence? What are you trying to achieve with it? So when people talk about freedom of speech, who should be platformed? This is not what you're free to do. It's what are you planning to do with that speech and platform matter. So for sure that should apply to the Jewish nation.
And I found it remarkable that you have, like Tucker Carlson talking about who are God's chosen people and, are the Jews really the chosen people? And because he understands that if that is how we justify our rights to land, then that really will be the winning argument. And just remarkable that that's kind of what the political online world debate is kind of focusing on now. Quite biblical stuff. Don't
you love? Sorry, you wanted to go to the question.
Go for it.
Don't you love the fact that God can put great words into the mind of anti-Semitic people too? Don't you love the fact that Tucker Carlson goes, when he had the Ted Cruz interview, had the few other funny lines with Huckabee. Huckabee, I think, was better prepared, but he said to Ted Cruz, when Ted Cruz goes, bless quotes Genesis 12, those who bless them will be blessed, those who curse them will be cursed. He goes, what, the modern state of Israel? What, Netanyahu? That's a good question. That's saying, are the Jews living up to that? Yeah. Is the state of Israel living up to it? Now, of course, coming along with that is a load of nonsense and sick stuff and whatever. But it's, I think, within all that anger and very carefully disguised as some kind of,
this is what I was thinking when I saw that Huckabee interview, and specifically this thumbnail. I did, like, people got so upset and I was like, this is extraordinary and like potentially like a really good development. The fact that like we are being confronted with this question of, are we God's chosen people? And is that the reason why we're in the land? Like, it's incredible. And there's this fascinating thing that I've heard you speak about, that it's often the anti-Semites who actually understand us a lot better than we do ourselves and bring out that part of us.
Because they fear it. They sense it. They worry about it. You see, to a certain type of Christian, right? So a certain type of replacement theologist, if we really are meant to be chosen still, and we're meant to, and God's really returning us to our land, then does that mean they got the last 2,000 years wrong? Right? That's a certain risk. There's a certain rage against that. But okay, God can solve that problem however he wants to. To a different type of Christian, no, this is the beginning of the unfolding of God's plan, whatever. But the point is that if you even think about what Christians and Muslims say about why we shouldn't be in the land, it's because in different ways they'll say because we rebelled against God, right? If you think about the Neturei Karta, anti-Zionist religious Jews, they'll say it's because we rebelled against God. So we agree. We agree. We were exiled from the land because we rebelled against God. But the answer, therefore, is not to not come back to the land. It's to come back to the land and embrace the mission of bringing godliness to the world. Embrace the gifts that we've been given, right? Embrace that and make the world better for everyone else. The other thing anti-Semites sometimes accuse of is being too segregated and not caring or looking down upon them. This whole goyim, how does a sick person like Jeffrey Epstein, his last bit of Jewish identity is to be a racist, right? What an embarrassment for us. But there is, in all the persecution, there certainly are Jews who do use the words disparagingly, right? And that's, I also see that they're right. We should be doing what the Torah says we should be looking at goyim as. Goyim as the great nations of God, the people who should be blessed because we're blessed, right? It's a two-way thing. God says, I'll bless those who bless us, but he also says our mission is to make sure they're blessed, right? I think a lot of people don't want to feel looked down upon by us, don't want to feel left out by us, and that's not what we're meant to be either. So I think so many of these critiques, if you just slightly tweak them, took away the double standards they come with and the outrageous accusations and the stupidities and the nonsense, and just like, that's what I'm saying, like the child, just listen beneath the rage or beneath the accusation and hear the kind of deeper level of it. Good point.
Yeah, I completely agree. Just quickly, we've all heard of heaven, hell, and the afterlife, and at some point I'm sure you've given it some thought. But the Jewish view is radically different from almost everything you've been taught, and once you hear it, it will change how you understand life itself. Have a watch of the trailer for our new JTV Plus documentary called Heaven, Hell, and the Afterlife, and you can watch the full film right now by clicking the link below in the video description. Across the world, the afterlife is described in simple terms. Heaven above, hell below, the devil waiting to tempt you, and a humanity born in original sin. But Judaism tells a story that is older, deeper, and far more hopeful. Less obsessed with fear and more rooted in purpose. A story where the soul is not born guilty, but born noble. Where the body is not the enemy, but the partner. Where the devil isn't God's rival, but his assistant, because Judaism has no second power. Where hell exists, but not forever. Where heaven exists, but not as the final destination. And where the real end of the human story is resurrection, not escape. Judaism views history as a mission, not a mistake. Other civilizations teach that we are here to earn our way into heaven. Judaism teaches that we are here to bring heaven down to earth. And to understand what happens after we die, we first have to understand why we're here in the first place. In this JTV Plus documentary, we're going to reveal the Jewish vision of life after death. One of the most misunderstood ideas, but if understood correctly, can transform your very understanding of life itself. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description.